Hello friends, welcome to 47th session on numerical analysis. In this session, I am going to derive the corrector formula of Mylands-Simpson's method, that is the Mylands predictor corrector method. In the previous session, we have derived the predictor formula of Mylands method and it is displayed over here for your reference. You can have a look at this. This is the predictor formula of Mylands predictor corrector method. So we have derived this by choosing the Newton's forward interpolation formula to approximate the value of y which is present in the integrand. So we will continue with the same procedure. We will not go any further deviation from this point. We will follow the same way and we will try to derive the corrector formula of Mylands-Simpson's predictor corrector method. Now here the point at which the value of y is to be obtained is taken as x4, all of you know. So correspondingly the value of y which we want to estimate is y4, that is the value of y at x4 we are intended to find, therefore it will be y4. Now y4 value at the predictor step, that is by using the predictor formula, what value of y we are going to calculate, that we will take it as y4p. So this predicted value if we get from this formula number 4, we can obtain the next thing, that is f4, because we will be having x4, that is the point at which the value of y is to be obtained, that will be given to us in the beginning itself, and we have computed y4 at p. Now by using the definition of f, we can find out the value f4, and that f4 we can incorporate in the formula something like this, and then we can improvise the value of y4, that is, so that improvisation is to be done using some formula, and that formula is called as the corrector formula. So that formula we are going to derive right now. So in order to derive the corrector formula, we follow the same procedure. There is no difference. We have to, again, the same differential equation is to be integrated with respect to x. You look at the limits between the limits x2 and x4. That is the most important point you keep in mind. In the earlier case, we have integrated between the limits x0 and x4, but here there is a slight change. The integration limits are x2 the lower one, x4 the upper limit. So that is the difference. So let us consider the lower, here dy, here dx has been transferred to the other side. Integration with respect to y, here limits are x2 x4, limits are x2 x4. Now keeping the right hand side as it is, we at this moment we not at all interested to do any integration on the right hand side. It is not so easy also. Therefore we will keep the this particular thing everywhere as it is. We will not touch it at all. Only thing we will do the integration on the left hand side. Integration of 1 with respect to y is y. So y is a function of x. Why can't we write it as y of x? Yes, we can. Now let us substitute the upper limit x4 in place of x. So y at x4 is here minus y at x2, that is the lower limit x2, that is here. So now y at x4 is y4, y at x2 is y2. So these two values are there on the left hand side, RHS being maintained as it is. Now y2 is known to us. Y2 is known to us, only y4 is the unknown. So let us take this y2 to the other side. It will come with positive sign because it is minus here. If it is taken to the right hand side, it will become positive y2. So y2 plus integration of this quantity with respect to x between the limits x2 and x4, that is. So this is the expression which is most important for us in the further derivation process. So let us please keep this as highlighted equation, that is equation number 5. Now let us move on to look at this integral. So this integral is having the integrand which is not so easy to tackle with. So why it is not so easy? You please read this sentence. To evaluate the integral, the function f of x comma y is containing y, which is the unknown, therefore now it is to be approximated by using Newton's forward interpolation formula, that's all. So and that interpolation formula is to be taken about the point x2. In the earlier case it was about the point x0, now it is about the point x4 x2. We have to have the Newton's forward interpolation formula of the function y. In turn it will be function f. So it is f of x comma y is equal to f, that is nothing but f2 plus, so the first term will be f2 because we are interpolating about the point x2, that is. So f2 is equal to r into delta f2. You know very well the interpolation formula, r into r minus 1 divided by 2 factorial. The coefficient is something like this, into delta square f2, r into bracket r minus 1 divided by 3 factorial into delta cube f2 plus dot dot dot. That is the Newton's forward interpolation formula, particularly at the point x is equal to x2. So therefore, so after having this formula, now we can simplify this r into bracket r minus 1 for further integration technique. For the integration process, it should be made easier. So let us multiply these two, let us multiply these three, so as to have this particular expression, this 2 factorial can be written as 2, 3 factorial can be written as 6, all other things as they are. So this step is very, very simple, straightforward multiplication of brackets. So now we can substitute this value in place of the integrand in the integral which is there in the equation number 5 I have shown you just now before. Now here in this interpolating formula you can observe x has disappeared, only r has now come. R is the new variable which is now in our hand. Now we should tell what is meant by r. So that is what over here. So again, what is meant by f2? Everywhere we are having f2. F2 is nothing but f at x2 comma y2, and x2 is the known point, y2 is also known point, and we can very easily get the value of f2. That's all. And now what actually this r is? R can be obtained from this. X is the point, general point. So general point is it can be taken as x2 plus rh. Why x2? Because we are interpolating about the point x2. So therefore we have to take x2 plus r is some general notation, general symbol, variable. So r into h. H is the step size. So now this x2 can be taken to the left. So it becomes x minus f2, and h can be taken to the left, it becomes divided by h. So thereby we can get the value of this r. So the value of r is therefore given by this particular formula. Now we can use this new definition of the variable r. So the variable of the integration is now changing at all. So it is totally changing from x to r. So when it is changing from x to r, dx should change to dr. So therefore x is equal to x2 plus rh we know. Therefore dx means we have to take the differential on both sides. Dx is equal to on RHS x2 is there, its value will become 0 when we differentiate, plus r will become dr. H is a constant as it is here. So dx will be now h dr. We can write it at that particular place. So x goes off, dx goes off, only r and dr remain. Now the limits, you look at equation number 5. In that equation number 5, the limits are for x. See, everything is very, very systematic, and we are proceeding systematically. Here we are getting the interpolating polynomial to substitute, which is having the variable r. Dx is now replaced by h into dr. So variable is r. Now the limits here are particularly for x. So x is equal to x2, the lower limit, x is equal to x4, the upper limit. They have to be changed. We have to see that what will be the lower limit for r and what will be the upper limit for r. That is our objective. In order to do that, let us go for this step. So what is that? You see here, when r is equal to r2, the lower limit, all of you see, when r is equal to r2, what happens? Sorry. When x is equal to x2, the lower limit when x is equal to x2, what happens? X2 definition is in fact this thing. sorry, x definition is in fact x2 plus rh, we all know. So we are now taking x is equal to x2 means here x2 comes. X value is x2. X value is x2. So x2 is equal to, what is the definition? It is this much. Now let us cancel this x2 with this x2 and here 0 remains on RHS. So RH is equal to 0 means R is equal to 0. H cannot be 0. So only possibility is that R can be 0. Now the lower limit is 0. Yes. Now what about the upper limit? To get the upper limit, we have to substitute the upper limit x is equal to x4. So x is equal to x4, we can substitute it here because the upper limit we have taken it as x is equal to x4, but x is the definition, according to definition x2 plus rh. Now x4 can be written as, you all know x4 can be written as x3 plus 1h or x0 plus 4h. If you speak in terms of x2, it can be taken as x2 plus 2h. x4 value is x2 plus 2h. Very simple, because here if it is x4 and if it is x2 here, with one step you will reach to x3. With the next step, this is x3, with the next step you will reach to ultimately x4. So x4 is at 2 step forward from x2. So therefore x2 plus h, that is equal to x4. So x4 is nothing but x2 plus 2h. That is what I have written over here. So x2 plus 2h I can write. So what I can write here, x2 plus 2h in place of x4. So it is x2 plus 2h I can write here. This x2 can be cancelled with this x2. Now what is there in my hand? RH on left hand side. On right hand side only 2h. I can cancel with h and h because I can divide by this non-zero quantity on both sides. H cancels. So I can get r is equal to 2. That is the upper limit. So easily I have recovered the upper limit also. So I got the value of the integrand, that is the polynomial, and I can substitute it in the integral which I have shown you in equation number 5. So therefore the integral will now take this format. y0 is equal to y2 plus lower limit is 0, the r equal to 0 to r equal to 2, and integrand is totally the interpolating polynomial with the variable r, and integration is actually it is hdr now. In the next step I don't want h here, I will take it out of this integral. Only that thing I will do in the next step, nothing else. Only that I have shown over here. H has been taken here. Now what is the remaining thing? Remaining thing is to integrate. So what I will do, I will keep this y2 as it is, I will keep this h as it is, and now I will evaluate the integral. So integral f2 is a constant as it is. I will integrate 1 with respect to r, that is r. I will substitute the lower limit and upper limit, and I will keep this delta f2 as it is. I will integrate this r with respect to r between the limits 0 and 2, and I will evaluate. I get the answer 2. I will keep this delta square f2 by 2 as it is, that is as it is, and I will simplify. I will integrate this between the limits 0 and 2, and I will get it is 1. So this thing, this is f2 in fact, this is, you please make it as f2. So like this, these terms I will be having, I will not look at this term, only these 3 terms are required, only those 3 terms I will keep. This is the simpler than Adams-Bashforth, that is why we are considering. And now I can use the definition of delta f2. What is delta f2 actually? It is f3 minus f2. f3 minus f2. f3 minus f2. What is the value of del square f2? Del square f2 is in fact f4 minus 2f3 plus f2. So these are the things I am having here in place of these 2 terms, and rest of the things are as they are, and I will simplify each and everything. I will get this particular expression y4 is equal to y2 plus h by 3 after taking LCM outside the bracket, h by 3 into the bracket f2 plus 4f3 plus f4. So this is ultimately the required formula, and this is known as Milan's corrector formula, and it gives us the improved value of y4. It gives us the corrected value of y4. Therefore, let us denote it as y4c. Let us denote it as y4c for the sake of our convenience. And here f4 is involved. Very important to notice here. F4 is involved. And what is to be done with that F4? F4 always stands for F value at x4 comma y4. So y4 is the unknown, and what is to be substituted in place of this y4? It is very simple. In place of y4, you substitute its previously obtained value. Its previously obtained value is the predicted value. So the predicted value, once you substitute it over here, in place of this, you will get f4, and after simplification and evaluation of the RHS, you will get y4c. That is the first correction to the value of y4. Now, once you complete the first correction to y4, why can't you use this value in place of this? In place of this, you can use, we are having f4 is equal to f at x4 y4. You use the previously obtained value of y4. Previously obtained value of y4 will be the first corrected value of y4, that is y4c. So you use that value and you get the value of f4, and after simplification of this, you will get y4c in the next iteration, that is in the second iteration. So therefore, this corrector formula is an iterative type of formula. We can go on improvising the values of y4. In each step, we will use the previously corrected value of y4. In each step, we will be using the previously corrected value of y4, and we will be getting the value, new improved value of y4. So successively we are going to improvise the value of y4. So therefore, the corrector formula is called as the corrector formula. The corrector formula, it can be successively used, it can be iteratively used, it can be repeatedly used to get the higher improvements of y4. That is, we can get more and more accurate answers to y4 we can expect from this corrector formula if we apply it repeatedly, and in each step we will use the previously iterated value to get the new value of y4. So this is how it proceeds, and this process must come to an end ultimately. What is the time to stop the iteration process? So the iteration process must be stopped when two previously corrected values are same up to the desired number of decimal places. That is, if two we stop the iteration process. You read this sentence please. We stop the iteration process when we obtain the value of y4 correct to desired accuracy. That is, two corrected values of y4 are same up to the desired number of decimal places. Then we can stop this process of iteration and we can take that answer as the final answer. That is the thing we have to understand. So with this, we have to take care of a few more points. That is what predictor formula is, again explicit formula I am writing here, and corrector formula is an implicit formula. Why it is an implicit formula? Because it uses its own value which is obtained in the previous step. That is, in the definition of f4, in the definition of y4, y4 is involved. In the definition of y4 is involved. Therefore, it is an implicit one. you can observe here character formula. If you look at this character formula carefully, in the definition of y4 is involved. F4 means f at x4 y4. So in the definition of y4 is involved, therefore it is the implicit one, whereas in the predictor formula there is no such thing. In the definition of y4 there is no y4 involved, therefore it is the explicit formula. And to employ this method we require the 4 starting values. Just now I told you, and these 4 starting values, out of them one will be there in our hand with the initial condition given, and 3 more are to be evaluated using any one of the known technique. For example, to compute y4 we need y0, y1, y2, y3, and out of these 1 will be in our hand and 3 are to be calculated using any known technique like Taylor series method or Picard's method. So this is the method, very interesting method. If you once again look back to the predictor character formulae, they are made visible for you. You please have a look at these formulae. So you please read the formulae carefully and try to apply them to solve the problems. I hope you enjoyed the derivation of the character formula. With this, let me stop now. I hope you enjoyed. If at all you want any further information, please refer my textbook. So thank you for watching the